Hey there, this is Amanda with Hook'em Homestead, and I am going to walk you through how I do our forecasting for the things that I don't have like pre-forecasted for me. So with like Ambleside Online does the forecasting for you, but a Delectable Education does some forecasting for you and some not for you. And so I was going to walk you through a few things that I did this week as I was planning for our next term. And so I'm going to open up my sheet so that I can kind of walk you through how I did it, what I did, and all of that stuff. So when I get this open, should I have started with this open? Yes. Did I? No. Okay. So Old Testament, New Testament are forecasted out for me. So all I do is plug and play those into my thing. Trial and Triumph, we're just planning to read a chapter a week for our Sunday reading. America First and Heart and Soul, our island story, are all forecasted out for us. Stories from history, Heroes of Asgard, and then we get to Shakespeare. And so I had to pick which Shakespeare poems I wanted to do. And so one of the poems, does this say, okay, it says poems on here, which is why I'm saying that. Plays that are in here is As You Like It. Okay, so for Shakespeare, I picked As You Like It. In this volume, it goes from page 522 to 546. So I just do the math there, and that is 24 pages. Spread over 10 weeks means I need 2.5 pages. And so what I did is I scrolled through here at 2.5 pages approximately and split it out by acts and scenes. And then I just wrote those in here. So it says like intro and act 1, scene 1. And then the next week is scene 2. And then the next week we finish act 1 and we move on to act 2, scene 1s through 3, because they must be shorter scenes. Anyways, so on and so forth, right? Copywork, dictation, grammar is all scheduled out in, they are just a do the next thing kind of a thing, right? Foreign language, same thing, just do the next week in our Charlotte Mason Simple Languages. And then science, I grabbed my guide that Sabbath Mood puts together, and I filled in all the stuff that is our nature lore book, our actual reading text for that term, and then the activities that we're going to be doing, our special studies topics, our object lesson, the nature walk, and the nature notebook topics. So I put all of that in there. And then for geography, that is scoped out except for the travel log. And so I know that this travel log, we picked the Lewis and Clark expedition. And so it is 180 pages spread out for 3 terms. So you're doing approximately 60 pages a term, so 6 pages a week, and then I spread that out. That makes sense, right? So 180 pages divided by 3, because of the 3 terms, gets you 60, divided by the 10 weeks that we're doing it, plus 1 catch-up week. So the 10 weeks is 6 pages, okay? And then I just put those in here. And then math, I come through and I have our math journals. Okay, for our math journal, I go through and there are different topics. Okay, so then we have our journaling prompts. And so she has games, number play, geometry, math, art, writing. So we pick one, I pick one from each of the categories in the journal prompts section, and I assign that for the term. And then hymns, we just choose hymns that are in our hymnal. Folk songs, I choose based on the time period we're in, and there's a couple websites out there that you can look at. Just type in like folk songs in the 1800s or whatever, and it'll pop up, right? And then Bible, I pick a psalm that they are going to do, and then they had recommendations on the ADE site for their Old Testament, New Testament, and then we did our poem or Shakespeare recitations that I picked. And then brush drawing and regular drawing, I just schedule those, do the next thing, right? And then for our composer, that was all laid out in the composer study that we bought off of the Etsy shop. And the same thing with the artist study for Simply Charlotte Mason's artist prints. We just get that. Solfa, same thing. We just do the next one of the singing family. If we need a repeat one because it wasn't done or we didn't quite get the note, then we change that. Foreign language songs, we go based on, so we just do the foreign language songs that are chosen on there. Then for our drill, we bought the 80 drill year one. And she has in there like a recommended forecast. And so it has, what drill activities you're going to do and then what extra activities you're going to do. And I put all of those into my forecasting as well. Piano, we just do the next thing on Hoffman Academy. And then poetry, I just write who we're doing as our poet. And I don't necessarily like assign through the anthology. We just read the next poem kind of a thing. Drawings, I just write down the number of drawings of which kind we're supposed to do each term, and then we go from there. Novels, I just pick our novel. I don't schedule it out because it's kind of one of those things that they're just going to read it in the afternoon as they can go. Yes, I could schedule it out, but I have a feeling that we're generally doing our 15 minutes a day has gotten us through novels in the past. I believe it will this time as well. And then we have our physical geography that I have. We're doing a couple of these each term. And then it's like one of these gets you through a year. Unless you do each activity once a week, then it gets you through a term. And then you just buy the next teacher help or whatever. But we're just doing it through the year so that we're easing our way into it. The more comfortable we get with the physical geography, the more we may do, but not this time. And then I just have on here historical fiction, biography, science, and fiction free read. So I'll put those up on the shelf for the kids to choose from, and then they will pick. And then the last thing I have to still choose is what handicraft we will be doing, and then scheduling that out. So in general, our service handicrafts have been like an OCC project, just because that's been an easy enough thing to do. And then homemaking, we pick, I'm kind of trying to choose something that actually goes with the fly lay system as I'm trying to get into that more. So it might be like the swipe and swoosh, or it might be a 2-minute hotspot declutter or things like that, just so that they're doing things that are practical, everyday life skills that alongside me. And so we're going to work on that. And then needlework, we'll probably do some cross stitch or embroidery this term, and then Sloyd as always. And then we have our project, which is the main thing I have to choose. So I need to go back and look at my streams of the different handicrafts that are like the different categories of handicrafts, and then pick one. And that's what we'll do there. And so that is how I go about forecasting the whole term and saying down and grabbing my different things. And when I have to do the forecasting, how I break that out, and how I decide on that stuff. If you have any questions, let me know. If you like this video, give it the little like button, thumbs up, and that would be helpful. Thanks. Bye.